And this week in Montreal Green, it's the Alfa Romeo Tonale plug-in hybrid. These Tonale plug-in hybrids only come in one specification, and that's the Veloce, which gives you a couple of extra things like the black on the mirrors and so forth, cloverleaf alloys, which always look fantastic on an Alfa. And they put together a particularly sexy package. The lights, they're matrix LED lights. You've still got the little shield Alfa grille and the snake and cross emblem, which is symbolic of 60s motoring, which is the Alfas that I really like, that beautiful Alfa Montreal, of which this colour was named. I went into more detail with the first Tonale video that I did, and you'll remember that I wasn't particularly fussed on it. I liked the look, but I wasn't really that impressed with the performance. This is the same. It's still got blacked out rear windows and all of that sort of stuff, and you can go and look at that video for a more comprehensive look. And the rear is just the epitome of Italian style and grace. But because this is a hybrid, it's all-wheel drive, so you don't have any room under the rear floor for a spare. There's just some charging cords. Okie dokie, I've started the car. Oh, lovely. There's several features in here that are not in the normal car, the car that we've tested previously. Forgive all this stuff that wouldn't normally be there, that's just for my test. I've got 41 kilometers worth of battery left. I've also got drive modes. All of that's down here on the center console. Now, without the battery saver on, this is running off the battery that I've saved. But as soon as I press E-save, it will preserve whatever battery I've got for perhaps a low zone, a low emissions zone. Handling, gosh. I'm gonna slip it up into, okay, I've put it in sport mode, dynamic. Steering hasn't changed much. And it's also turned off E-save because you can't have E-save and dynamic mode going at the same time. Fair enough. In the corners, this is just absolutely delightful, absolutely beautiful. Just gonna slip it back into, now I can adjust the dampers to normal, which frankly it doesn't really make all that much difference. Normal is still pretty firm. But I slip it back into, that's lovely. That's really lovely. It's very quiet. The Alfa has a 132 kilowatt petrol 3-cylinder engine, turbo of course, and a 90 kilowatt engine. The 90 kilowatt motor, the electric motor is on the back axle, and the petrol engine drives the front wheels for a total output of 206. So you can't just add them together and come up with a total figure, and that's because it shunts power as needed. So it keeps a little bit in reserve, somehow or other. I suppose that's what all the technical gubbins underneath is doing. Live lane, go, 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 go. 6.2 seconds to 100, which is, I think, smashing for a little hybrid. And what was hot hatch territory. Now that we're almost at 100, okay, I've got the smart cruise control on and the smart driving. Just going to bring that up to, it'll bring itself up to 110 when it's ready. At the moment we're following a Model Y. Why are we following a Model Y? I don't know why. You can hear on the highway there is a little bit of road noise from the tyres, but not too much. Certainly not unpleasant. You can see here that I've got the road graphic up, which allows me to see what the car's doing. It's seeing the car in front, so it's got a little car. It's quite clever. I've got blind spot monitoring, of course, and if it does see someone in your blind spot, it won't let you change lanes. It'd be remiss of me not to mention the sound system, which is Harman Kardon, owned by the Harman Group, which is in turn owned by Samsung. It's not by any means top drawer, but it is very, very good. The Uconnect system is pretty easy to work. Fixed symbols down the left-hand side. The one thing I can't understand is the heated and cooled seats you operate by touching the top button with the seat symbol. The sync and the heated steering wheel are on the passenger side button. So because this is a left-hand drive car and it's native country, why wouldn't they just change that? It's just a computerized image. Other than that, it's very responsive, easy to use. The symbols down the side do exactly what they say. You go into the car menu, for example, and there's the car settings across the top, including a way to turn the screen off at night if you don't want it on. All right, I'm going into a tunnel, so I'm going to set this at 80 because we don't want to go too fast in the tunnel. I just want to mention the air conditioning controls, which Alfa have put on a separate row below the main screen. I like that. I like being able to get at my climate controls without having to fuss around with on-screen menus. If I'm being honest, an electric Alfa feels a little bit wrong and a little bit right. I'm now right in the heart of Sydney, and I'm cruising along in silence. I can just hear the faint little whine of an electric engine, electric motor, and I'm using up absolutely no carbon emissions whatsoever. Now, that's the point I'm trying to make. If you were able to charge at home, then you would always be in EV mode, unless you really needed the power. Your fuel consumption would be negligible. I read some stories recently about, and they're somewhat misleading in their highlights. They're really just trying to get clicks. And they were saying that plug-in hybrids were up to 5 times dirtier than EVs. Well, of course they are. They've got a petrol engine. But it made out that EVs were trying to be something that they weren't, and that PHEVs were trying to be something that they weren't, and it's not true. PHEVs are trying to give you the best of both worlds for people not yet ready to make the full leap. That's all for the Alfa Romeo Tonale plug-in hybrid, Veloce. What a mouthful. It is a beautiful car, nice to drive, very economical, relatively speaking, and you can get quite a bit of distance out of that plug-in hybrid battery. For $77,500, the choice you'd have to make is it worth it compared to the petrol-only version? And is it worth it compared to the opposition? Only a buyer can say, but this does have a lot of Italian flair. As always, hit like, leave a comment, and just over there to subscribe.